Hello and welcome to the Retail Week, our look back at one of the biggest stories in the industry over the last 7 days. I'm George MacDonald, Executive Editor, and I'm joined by Luke Tugby, our Head of Content, and Gemma Goldfingal, our Features Editor. Today we're talking about John Lewis's results. The retailer reported a big fall in profits yesterday, and some interesting comments were made. So when they were talking about their strategy, John Lewis flagged the changing conditions on the high street, and they said, "The disruption we've seen, including business failures and renewed interest in mergers and acquisitions, are signs of an inevitable market adjustment, which will require greater clarity on whether brands are competing on scale or difference." So what do you guys think? Is there a fundamental market adjustment going on, and is it going to all boil down to scale or difference in the end to thrive? Luke, what's your take?
Yeah, I think his overarching point, Charlie Mayfield's point, is right. There is clearly a change that I agree, I don't think is cyclical. You look at some of the deals that we've seen happen, Tesco buying Booker, Sainsbury's trying to merge with Asda, you've seen partnerships like M&S and Ocado, and there's very much a case now in retail where I think before it was kind of you're all against each other and you're fighting your own battle, but that attitude seems to have changed, and it's right, we can actually be stronger together. Let's look at how we can combine and create synergies, whether it's through buying or through technology, those kind of things. So I think he's hit that nail on the head with what they've said.
Gemma?
I do agree, but I wonder by the phrase scale, he actually means price and the price that having scale brings, which I would argue that's always been the case in retail, that you need a differentiating point. You know, is it product, is it service, is it price? But I do agree there's been a massive acceleration in, as you said, all the acquisitions and mergers we've seen recently, and also some of the other things that Charlie Mayfield mentioned, like business failures as well.
Yeah, I guess, people talk for years about that sort of polarisation between premium and value, and people in the middle maybe being squeezed by those two forces. But I think even though we talked about it for so long, maybe we really are seeing it happen now. Yeah. I tend to agree with you that I think increasingly scale means value. Most of the big scale companies are value now very strongly, I think. Difference, interesting point, because the other thing we've talked about is that big established companies being eaten by a million minnows. So you've got small companies, they're not going to be the next Walmart, and they don't want to be, but all put together, they're just nibbling away at the market share of the giants.
Yeah, but that, I think that again is difference, isn't it? It's often exactly why you shop with those businesses is because it's a different product, a different proposition. So we're seeing the difference.
I guess the question for me then is, can a business like John Lewis or an M&S have the level of difference that a smaller independent company can bring? John Lewis is clearly banking heavily on this difference and the difference it believes its partners bring in terms of customer service. But really, in the current economic and political climate, are people really going to pay that bit extra just to go and get a smile and a wave at the till, or are they going to gravitate to value operators or people with more scale where they can actually save a few quid? And that would be my worry, I think, for John Lewis going forward.
Funnily enough, in some ways, John Lewis almost has scale and difference. I mean, it's a sizable company. What are their sales? About nearly 12 billion. So that is scale, but they're very much focusing on what can they do differently.
Yeah, I think will people still shop at John Lewis because of Smile and a Wave? I think you're suggesting that the market's going to be completely full of value retailers. I think price is becoming more and more important, but John Lewis the service and also the trust that people have in the John Lewis brand, I think will make people shop there. So, for example, when I'm making a big purchase, a new laptop or a TV, I always gravitate to John Lewis because of that peace of mind that I know if something goes wrong, that they'll fix it, and it's not just battering down a customer service operator to try and get something done.
Yeah, I think it is a bit more than a smile and a wave as well. You know, you look at, for instance, what they've done in the department stores, Westfield, where you know, personal service is really making a difference to sales in categories like women's wear. So I do think, you know, those people who aren't purely driven by value, i.e. price, are going to put value on other qualities, I think.
I absolutely agree, but I would say there are probably an increasing amount of people who are driven by value right now.
Yeah, this is the worry for me, and as I say, in the current climate, how many people are actually going to gravitate to that customer service that we talk about? Yes, I agree, it's important, and some people will, but I fear that that's a much smaller demographic of affluent customers at the moment, and that pool just seems to be getting smaller and smaller with all the fears around Brexit and wages being quite stagnant. Hopefully that is cyclical, unlike what John Lewis have spoken about with the retail market.
I guess what is worrying, if you're a brand, so John Lewis, you know, who is known for its service and it's known for it, you know, it's a very trusted brand. There's a big pool of retailers that probably aren't the cheapest in the market, so they can't compete on price, that don't have that distinct point of difference. I think it's a really worrying time for those brands.
Yeah, could still be more of a shakeout to come.
Yeah, definitely.
But how well then do you two think John Lewis, the partnership, which of course includes Waitrose that we've not mentioned so far, how well is John Lewis partnership set up, do you think, for the future?
I think it's making some changes in the right direction. So I think it talked about changes it made in fashion. You know, in terms of more exclusive, distinct product, etc., a point of difference to go to John Lewis. I think that's a really smart thing to do, because I think when you can get products anywhere, you know, which as a branded department store you can, having your own exclusive products and your own distinctive lines as well. So you'd go to John Lewis to shop specifically John Lewis's lines. I think is what you need to do in this marketplace.
Yeah, I would agree. And when you look at competitors like M&S and Debenhams, you would absolutely 100% say that John Lewis has a much bigger, clearer point of difference than those two. So, yeah, I think, you know, and it's been good at weathering storms in the past, and I'm sure it will continue to do so. But I feel there is a lot more work still to be done, but definitely better equipped than some of its rivals, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, you talked about tough times still to come. They do discuss Brexit a bit, but one of the things that they've done that I do think is important and that others have not been able to do because of their trading difficulties, you know, they have really acted to make sure their balance sheet is in a good shape.
Yeah.
So, I think they look pretty well, in pretty good shape to weather the storms, I think.
And they can take the hit. They don't have private equity, you know, shareholders to or even institutional shareholders to please. They can say, do you know what, we need to invest right now, and our profits are going to be obliterated for the next couple of years. Yeah.
And actually, finally on that point, I think they've managed the whole bonus thing really well this year. I think the PR has been fantastic. Everyone was almost expecting zero.
Yeah.
And now suddenly their staff are quite happy that they've come up with a 3% bonus. So, and I think they've realised the challenges that the business faces, and they're managing to not only face into those, but keep their employees happy as well, which is huge.
Okay, probably need to stop there. What do you think? Do let us know. You can comment on our website, and please join us again next week.